at the annual summit of the National Economic Development and Labour Council this week, Labour Minister Thulas Nxesi stressed the importance of being prepared for disasters. We've seen gas lines exploding and natural disasters take a toll on the economy. Our business convener at Nedlac, Kaizer Moyane, joins me now to discuss how much further along with some of those outcomes of the summit. Kaizer, thank you so much for your time this morning. Just to a couple of quotes to come from that very important gathering is that there's still so many obstacles to face. The Deputy President saying we must summon enough bravery to discuss the matter openly to prevent the ticking time bomb of poverty, inequality and joblessness from going off. How would you sum up the tone of the gathering over the last couple of days?
Thank you, Marcel. So this was a time for the Nedlac partners, being government and its social partners, business, labor, and civil society, to reflect on what has gone on in the past year, but also to take stock of what still needs to be done. And as the Deputy President stressed, there is a lot more that we are facing. The term polycrisis has been used to describe the kind of situation we find ourselves in. We are facing massive unemployment, particularly amongst our young people. We are facing disasters increasingly. We're facing the crime, an escalating crime situation, deteriorating infrastructure, all of which culminate in already a weak economy being further bludgeoned. And all of that means fewer jobs are being created to absorb all the people that we're having. And that, the ticking time bomb that they're talking about, is that when you have a lot of those young people in particular who are constantly leaving the schooling system and not finding any opportunities to work, that something is going to give somewhere. And so there's been a recognition of that for some time now. There are things that we as business, for example, have been urging government to do, right? As in, for example, make sure that the business environment is conducive for employers to take on more people. But we are also, as individual businesses and collectively in our sectors, doing something, particularly amongst in respect of young people, to try and give them an entry into a step up, if you like, into the economy. And so, we work with the YES program, most of us, to try and just introduce young people into the working world, because that is then going to help them. I know government is also doing something in respect of the presidential employment scheme to try and bring in more young people into the fold. But there's still a lot more to be done. And an economy that's not growing, an economy that's burdened by escalating crime, and a government that seemingly is unable, and some might even say unwilling to act, is just not helping the situation. So basically the situation at Nedlac was, we still have a lot to do, and each social partner is thankfully committed to advancing this course.
There is a brewing discontent, especially amongst the many people who are unemployed, especially young people who are trying their best to get a job, to help their families put food on the table. And I get the sense that a sense of discontent was felt in that room, in that gathering of so many high-powered stakeholders who just want to be shown the direction as to how they can get involved to try and alleviate that tension. And one of the key sticking points, I believe, has been around labour market reforms. Why does that continue to be a sticking point?
So employers naturally would like to grow their businesses and employ more people. And workers would want a situation where they have better working conditions. So this tension is always there in the labor market. What we have been doing, you may recall, I think it was in 2022 when the president in his SONA speech promised that the labor market would need reforming, particularly for small businesses to be able to employ people easily, because you see, most employers, particularly those who are starting up, would like to take on people and let them go if things don't work out with relative ease. But if the labor laws are so restrictive to the point that when you take on people, it's almost as if you know, until death do us part. It is scary for most employers to take on that challenge when they don't have human resource departments, experts who can go and spend time at the CCMA, time that they do not have, time that they could be using to advance their business. And so all of that is a challenge. So government has been introducing at Nedlac some laws that would see particularly small businesses have a little bit more room to maneuver in terms of taking on and letting go of people. And that is something that we have been encouraging as business for the longest of time, because that we believe will stimulate the desire to employ more, and it will free up those entrepreneurs to take on more people, and young people at that.
There was a rather serious comment made by Business Unity SA CEO Cas Covadi, and one of the things that he said was that Nedlac is facing an existential crisis at this time. What is your reaction to comments made like that?
So I think that was made in the context of the very serious challenges that we're having as a country, but in a space where acknowledging that the work that Nedlac still needs to do is so much, but we are having dwindling budgets to be able to do that as an institution. And there are also people who are growing, as I think you rightly pointed out, discontent about where all of these policies that get agreed at Nedlac don't see the light of day, and they don't see the impact of that. So they may rightly feel that maybe Nedlac is not giving them any hope, right? And when a lot of people start feeling that way, really it means the relevance of the institution gets sidelined, and people may start doing things outside Nedlac, or, you know, God forbid, things that we would not want to see in any country, as we have seen in some countries when discontent boils to the point where people can't take it anymore.
Your main takeaways from this gathering, of course, it's very difficult to find the positive because we're so bogged down by so many obstacles that people, especially in the business sector, are facing right now. We're just about to cross for that live weekly update from the electricity minister, for example, on the energy action plan. And I've spoken to people in the business sector who have said that they found this new transparency to be a rather encouraging, I suppose, for want of a better phrase. What were you hearing from the other members involved in Nedlac about what they feel is the most positive thing that they can hold on to going forward?
I think the willingness to collaborate, which was the theme of this summit, the willingness to collaborate on a number of fronts, that's encouraging. So, you know, all the social partners are happy to collaborate on policy matters within Nedlac, but beyond that, as you would have seen business doing with government, where we feel, even though it is not really our job as business, but where we have capacity, we would like to make sure that we lend some of that to government and resources to get things done. And the electricity space is one such. The logistics sector is another. The crime and security situation is the third one that we have prioritized, as well as business. So there is a lot of that going on, even if it's not in Nedlac, but it is a recognition that the Nedlac social partners can do a lot within Nedlac and outside Nedlac, especially in bilateral fashions.
Okay, we're going to leave it there. I'm sure a discussion that will continue for some time, and necessarily so. Kaizer Moyane is the business convener at Nedlac. He's joining us virtually from Johannesburg, and we thank him for his time.